All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have the one and only, the legendary R&B singer, the one and only Uncle Sam, who is formally signed to the one and only Boyz II Men record label, right here live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Best I can possibly be down here in Canada. Just taking it day by day. Just glad to actually get back to normal life after this crazy pandemic we've been dealing with.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was crazy, but by God's grace, we gradually coming up out of it.
But I know you're a busy guy, Uncle Sam, so I'm going to dive right into this broadcast, but I want to take you back to the beginning of your amazing career this far, and I have to ask, what originally made you decide to pursue a career in music? Because truthfully, you have one of the most gifted voices to ever grace R&B music.
Well, I was born for music. I really don't have a specific situation that kind of moved me in that direction. It was just destiny for me. It was something that I started doing at 3 years old and never stopped.
And also, as well, you were actually discovered by Nathan Morris from Boyz II Men when you ultimately landed a deal on their record label titled Stone. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind this record deal, and of course, what was it like just being signed to the one and only Boyz II Men?
Well, actually, Wanye was the first one to get with me through Chaluchi Finney, who was his best friend, and Chaluchi was on the tour with Boyz II Men with Jodeci. He was road manager for Jodeci, and when they were on the tour, Tom Mottola had approached Boyz II Men about doing a label deal, and Juan had told Chaluchi about it, and right after they got finished with that tour, they went on ahead and they did that One Sweet Day. That One Sweet Day record with Mariah Carey, and at that time, Tom Mottola and Mariah Carey were married, and so that's how the StoneCreek came about. And then I was on a off-Broadway musical called Good Man Is Hard to Find. So I was touring the country doing that play, and I met Chaluchi Finney's producer that was signed to him by the name of Alex Ward. And Alex Ward, he lived in Kansas City. So right after we got finished with the off-Broadway musical, the tour ended, I flew down to, I drove down to Kansas City and stayed down there and worked on my demo with Alex Ward. And one day, Chaluchi had called with Y.A. Morris on the three-way. And he was like, sing something for him. So I sung You and I by Stevie Wonder on the line, and Y.A. dropped the phone and was getting all excited. And he was like, man, we getting ready to sing for you now. We ain't going to have a deal and everything locked in until like about January, but this was like November, like right before Thanksgiving. He's like, but we're going to send you some money down there, and you get everything situated and just get ready to come down. So while I was there, they sent the money to Kansas City. I drove back to Detroit, got all my affairs together, but in the meantime, Nate from Boyz II Men flew down from Philly to Detroit to meet me. So when he came down to meet me, we kicked it. Everything was cool. So right after that, they flew me on into Philly, and the rest was history, man.
And I gotta say as well, especially for being a first record deal, man, you know what I mean? Just being able to be signed to StoneCreek is absolutely phenomenal. Like Boyz II Men, you guys did some phenomenal projects over there.
Man, thank you, man. Yeah, it was definitely a blessing because, at the time, it was just one of the things that I manifested. I always did want to work with Boyz II Men, and then I wanted to work with Sony, too. It was one of the labels that I wanted to work with, and I didn't know how I was going to make that happen. But, ironically, God made it happen because they ended up getting a deal with Sony, and then I got a chance to, sit right there up under, the tutelage and the expertise of professionalism of Boyz II Men when it comes to that studio, cutting vocals and, professionally on how to, conduct myself, as a artist. So I had all of the tools. So it was definitely a blessing.
And also as well, on October 17th of 1997, you actually released the phenomenal self-titled album titled Uncle Sam that actually ultimately went gold. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a story behind this phenomenal debut record. And of course, what was it like just being in the studio recording this very first project of yours?
Well, I mean, that album, every day we was in the studio. We cut probably about 30 or 40 records, and we picked from the 30 or 40 records to 11 records, which was kind of hard because we had a lot of great music that we had done together, and we narrowed it down to 11 records. It was definitely a blessing having, recording that record and StoneCreek and Brandy coming to the studio. She was on backgrounds on a couple of my records. A couple that didn't make the album. Then one, she was on one that did make the album. She made one of them did make the album. Because at that time, her and Wanye was dating. So it was definitely, Johnny Gill, he got on the record, and then working with Boyz II Men every single day, sometimes working with Sean, sometimes working with Nate, sometimes working with Juan, sometimes working with all of them, sometimes working with Mike. It was definitely a blessing, man. I had a good time, and it was a monumental time in my life, and it's moments that even just like here lately, I just think about how much of a blessing that was to be able to come from where I came from, in Detroit, Michigan, to getting that platform. Like it's not nothing that happens every day, from people that come from where I'm from. So, I definitely was, blessed by God to be able to be in a situation like that.
And also, one of my favorite songs off that project actually is, in my personal opinion, an iconic song by the name of I Don't Ever Want to See You Again. I was always wondering, what is the story and inspiration behind that amazing song? Because I got to say, it definitely is a deep, deep song.
Nathan Morris wrote I Don't Ever Want to See You Again, and the crazy part about it is the song sounded so much like Boyz II Men when they, let me hear the record and the direction of the record. I was a little reluctant to do the record. I was like, this sounds just like Boyz II Men. Like I need to be able to have my own identity. They talked me into doing the record, and I struggled with doing the record. I did it. I had to go back and do the vocals a couple of times because it was like, I was trying not to, just sound so much like Boyz II Men because, I wanted to have my own identity vocally. So one day, my manager was like, man, come on, man, we need you to do this record. This record's going to be big, and, just everybody wants you to do this record. So I went on ahead and I put my all into it. I'm glad that I did. I never personally went through a situation like that where, somebody ran off with my woman or my best friend ran off with my woman. I ain't never really had that situation, but I just took pain from, from different places in my life where I was hurting. I just put it into the energy and the emotion of that record, and it just came to life. And one day we was in the studio, and everything just, all of the energy was right. The vocals hit the mic right. Everything was perfect, and, the record just took off. And really, to be honest with you, the record took off so fast, the label had to catch up with the record because they didn't know that the record was going to take off like that because they put the record out in the fourth quarter, which when all of the major artists put out all their records, like I was on the charts with all of the top artists in the industry at the time. And usually they don't put new artists in that fourth quarter. They wait till the first quarter to drop them. But in order to get Grammys and nominated for all of that kind of, the awards and all that kind of stuff, the artists drop in the fourth quarter so they record to have that momentum. My record ended up taking off and flying past everybody on the chart to number 2 in R&B, number 5 in pop, and I think it was number 1 in R&R, and then something like 30-something in the country. So the record took off, and it just, I was excited about the record. The record took me all around the world. People still talking about that record. People still singing the record. People still, doing karaoke to the record. People still, online talking about how this is their favorite song. And that record took the life to it of its own. So I'm definitely, blessed to get beyond myself and get out of my own way and record that record, because that record really kind of changed my life for real.
And the one thing I have to ask, because when you said that album dropped in the fourth quarter with all the other artists, was that an actual mistake by the label, or was that very much intentional because they saw the potential that this record actually had back in '97?
Well, I mean, like you said, October is the fourth quarter, and you in this industry. I don't know how long you've been in this industry. Usually, they don't drop new artists in their fourth quarter, but I don't know whether they had that much faith in the record. I don't know what the scenario was. I don't know what the intention was, but I just know that they did the right thing. The record came out and done well, and we had a great relationship, with the label, and things just started to work out. But they had to catch up to that record, marketing wise and everything else. They had to catch up to the record because the record took off and it just took legs of its own.
And before we move off the StoneCreek days and whatnot, the one thing I do actually have to ask, because I've been wondering this for years, why wasn't there ever a follow-up Uncle Sam record on StoneCreek Records / Epic?
Well, StoneCreek, actually, it was a situation where they had misunderstandings and personal issues and things like that got in the way of the relationship between StoneCreek and Sony. There were some things that they was bumping heads and clashing, so they stopped doing business with one another. StoneCreek went their separate way, and Sony, as you know, they went their separate way. So there was no more StoneCreek after that first record. That was it. They didn't have no more relationships because of their disagreements or whatnot. And so that's why it was no more StoneCreek Epic. Actually, I had went to do my second album with Sony because of the way my contract was designed. If anything was to happen between Sony and StoneCreek, I would automatically, as an inducement letter, go directly to Sony. So my contract took me directly to Sony, but when I went directly to Sony, the regime changed. The president who had brought me from StoneCreek to Epic, which was Ron Sweeney, he quit Sony, Epic. So really, I didn't no longer want to be there, because usually when you have new regime changes, the new president, they bring their own artists with them. They bring people that they believe in with them and that they stand behind. They bring them with them, and that's where they put their energy. So I didn't want to get caught up into those politics. So I, asked to be, removed from the label. It took a while for them to do it, and that's why I didn't drop my second record with them. I had started on the second record. I was working with Noontime, Jazzy Faye, and Teddy Bishop, and Brian Michael Cox, and all of the guys over there at Noontime. We was working on my second record, but it never came out because they did end up giving me my release from Epic. So at that time, I was kind of caught between wanting to re-sign to another label, or did I want to be independent? So for a while, I struggled with, the concept of whether I wanted to do one or the other. So I just ended up just working on, other things, going into real estate and, things of that nature, just trying to figure out how I wanted to move forward. And it just took a while. So, I ended up losing, my desire to be with a label, and I forced myself to just continue, to make music over and over again. I got records upon records upon records upon records waiting now to drop. So I'm looking looking to drop my first single for my new album that's coming real soon. I don't know whether that was a question that you had coming up, but I'm gonna stop right here.
I got to say that was actually kind of one of my next questions actually, because on one of your Instagram accounts, man, back in 2015, I noticed you posted a photo with yourself and Maurice Starr, and the caption actually wrote "working on a new project." I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that particular project with Maurice Starr, and of course, how did yourself and him originally get connected?
I've been knowing Maurice Starr for a long time, man. Maurice Starr is a part of the lineage of Boyz II Men because he was attached to New Edition, and it's like a family environment when it comes to New Edition and Boyz II Men. Like, and Maurice Starr was like an icon when it comes to doing music, and he's like a mentor of mine even right now. Maurice Starr is like he's a general. He is like one of the most intelligent people that ever touched the music business when it comes to the acumen of music. Like he's an icon, and I actually had an opportunity. That picture was actually at his home. We took that picture at his home. I went to visit him at his home, and he just got a lot of love for me, and he's helping me business wise. If I need him, I call him and give me whatever information that I need and open whatever door I need open. So, this new project that I have that I'm getting ready to drop now, it's an R&B record. I do have, an inspirational record on there, but it's an R&B record I'm getting ready to drop, and I'm looking forward to it.
And also as well, February 18th of 2017, you actually performed at a live global stream out there in Kenya. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that concert, and of course, what was it like just broadcasting worldwide immediately following one of the biggest boxing series in sports history?
Well, it was beautiful, man, because they flew me down there to Kenya, and I was with the president's people over there, and they were taking me around, showing me, Kenya. I was there to perform for that boxing match, and the crazy thing is that I don't know how, but the radio station found out I was there in Kenya, so they got to my people and they asked that I come down to the station. So I ended up going down to the station and doing an interview at the radio station there in Kenya, and then promoters found out I was there, and they asked could I come and perform at that Churchill show that they have. It's a live telecast that they have over there in Africa, and they asked could I come over there and perform, and just show my face. So it was just all organic, really. I had an awesome time in Kenya, and I'll be going back there soon. And over in Ghana, I'm headed back over to Africa real soon. And I mean, it was like it kind of tripped me out because I never knew that I had that many fans in Africa. I had no idea. So when I went to that show and did that performance at Churchill's, that telecast, I kind of forgot the words to my song when those people started singing my record like that. I was like outdone. Like I had no idea. Like they was just singing my song back to me, and it was just amazing to me because I'm thinking I'm getting ready to introduce myself to them, and they already know the song by heart. I'm like, wow. I was blown away. So it was definitely a thrilling experience. To go over there to Africa and see how Africa, received me like that. It was definitely a life-changing experience. I really enjoyed that.
And I gotta say, I remember actually watching the re-live stream of that particular performance of yours, man. And I gotta say, your set was absolutely phenomenal, man. I really enjoyed the first song you actually did, which I believe it's free. I obviously haven't seen it since 2017, so you know what I mean. Don't quote me on it, but I love when you actually perform free. I believe it was the first song.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was when I performed free. That was at the boxing match. I performed that at the boxing match. That wasn't actually on the Churchill show. boxing match. EJ Matthews, he's a promoter there. He promotes boxing matches, international boxing matches, and they definitely go live streaming worldwide. And he asked me to come and do my set on the stage, like a big brother to me. He was actually out on the road with us when we was on tour with Boyz II Men and Destiny Child and Casey and JoJo and Next, and he was on the road with me, and he was helping me out while I was on the road. So life, blessed him, and it was kind to him and gave him, favor. So he was able to get, in position to be able to do, major fighting events globally. So he actually just called me 2 weeks ago. He wanted me to come and do another event over in Ghana. He wanted me to sing the national anthem over there. So, it's definitely a blessing, man.
And aside from the music industry here for a moment, I also read on the internet as well that you actually are a lead pastor, of Life Saviors Christian Church out there in Douglasville, Georgia. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that, and of course, what actually made you decide to venture into being a pastor of a church?
Well, I'm no longer a pastor, but I was a leading pastor at Life Saviors Church. It was just in my spirit. It was in my heart. It was something that I was just called to do. I'm always one of those people that I wanted to make myself accessible to the people and show them, that it can happen. Like, it is real. You can be blessed. You can, use your gift that God gave you to make room for you, to open up doors for you all over the world. And there's a whole lot of young men who didn't have mentors and fathers, didn't have nobody that could really show them the way. So, I made myself accessible, and I'm still accessible. I'm not pastoring anymore, but I'm still accessible to anybody that just need, mentorship, or, just somebody that just needs, somebody to just listen to them, you know what I'm saying, and give them spiritual advice or just, life skills. So I just made myself available, and like I said, I come from a lineage of ministry. Like, my father was a pastor, my brother is still a pastor. My father passed away in 2017, but my brother is still a pastor. I had cousins that was in ministry. My family, that's where we came from. Like, 3 years old, I stood on a crate for my first solo at my dad's church, and I grew up, in that setting. So, it was always, on me, in me, and I just moved forward when, the opportunity arose. So, that was what happened in Douglasville.
And also, I know a few moments ago we spoke about your new projects that you actually have in the works that are currently set to release and drop to the public. But I have to ask, what is next for yourself other than that? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? What was still got you here live on the Canadian FM dial this evening?
Well, other than my record, man, I'm working on a app, and I'll come back to your show once we get finished with the development and we recoding it. But it's an app that I'm working on. I'm in the tech world, and along with my music, we're going to drop the app as well, and we're going to push the app as well. But the main thing I'm focused on right now is just getting ready to, shoot videos and get the imagery ready, and jump back out here and get on the road and do touring and do some shows and put this record out. The first single was called "Let's Get Missing," and I'm really looking forward to pushing this new record. It's definitely something that I feel strongly about. I'm very confident that it is definitely a good look when it comes to R&B music. So I'm just trying to do what I can to push that agenda right now.
And also, Uncle Sam, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Uncle Sam if they're not already doing so.
Well, actually, my team is actually putting together all of our social media. They're doing all new everything when it comes to my presence on social media, because I never really took out a lot of time be on social media like that. I was really kind of, busy doing other things. But I'm definitely able to be found as the one and only underscore Uncle Sam, UNCO Sam, on Instagram. But that's about it really for now. And I'll get ready real soon. Like once I, launch everything again, which is coming up here the next couple of weeks, I can double back to you and give you all of the new fresh information and give you the single so that you can get ready to start pushing it with me. I thank my boy Troy for opening up this opportunity for me and looking out for me, because he's a mogul in this music game, and it's like the big bro, and he always try to look out for me and open doors for me, and I appreciate him, man. And I just want to, Troy Edwards. I don't know whether everybody over there in Canada know about Troy Edwards, but he's a boss in this music game. And I just want to give him a big shout out,
I gotta say, definitely shout out to Troy, man. Such a phenomenal individual. And most definitely pertaining to that single, man, whenever it is ready and it does drop, definitely send it over here and I'll definitely add it into the radio station's rotation and give it some definite rotation down here in Canada.
Man, I love Canada too, man, by the way. Just so you know, man, I had a good time over there in Canada a lot of times, actually, in Windsor and Vancouver and, Ontario. Like, I had great times over there in Canada, and I look forward to coming back that way, too. I remember we did a big winter concert over there, and it was like me and it was some, like, big boy band artists like NSYNC. We did a real big concert over there. It was like a winter jam concert over there years ago, man, and I had an awesome time, man. I love Canada. I lived in Detroit, so we just go right across the bridge, and we had a ball over there, right there in Windsor, over and over again. For years of my life, I had a ball over there. That was the hang up.
I gotta say, down here in Canada, we really do love our live entertainment, especially concerts, man. So us Canadians, we definitely know how to have fun at a concert, man. So I could only imagine what it was like actually at an Uncle Sam concert back in the late '90s, man. It definitely was probably a trip.
Yeah, man, we had a ball, man. It was actually in 2000 that I came over there, man. But it was a ball that we had over there. I remember it was like, it was real cold. It was real cold, but we had a ball. We had a good time because it was outdoors. It was a ball. We had a ball.
And I gotta say, Uncle Sam, first and foremost, man, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening. Me personally, I have been a fan of yours for a very long time, man. I grew up listening to yourself and Boyz II Men. It was always just such a great vibe just to kick back and listen to some soothing R&B, man. So thank you so much for years of amazing music and entertainment, man. And I can't wait to hear these new projects when they do drop to the general public, because you already know I'm definitely going to make sure I snag myself a CD copy.
Man, I appreciate you, man, and I thank you for the interview, man. You're definitely a great video voice jockey. I don't know whether they filming you too, but I know you're definitely a great interviewer, man. I appreciate it, man. You got great energy, man, and I wish you well.
Hey, man, I gotta say, it definitely means a lot coming from an individual like yourself, man. And I know a lot of DJs, they just say it to gas you up, but genuinely, man, thank you so much for the positive feedback, man. It definitely fuels me to keep doing what I'm doing, man. So thank you so much, Uncle Sam.
Man, I wish you all the best, man. Go ahead and blow, man.
Hey, man.
God bless you. All of the goals you're trying to reach. I hope you reach them all, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, thank you so much, Uncle Sam. I definitely appreciate the love, man. But I gotta say, for now, definitely have yourself a wonderful night, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon once that app drops. And, of course, the brand new records.
I'm shooting it to you. As soon as we get everything ready, I'm going to shoot it over there to you. You got it.
Hey, sounds like a plan, Sam. Thank you so much, man. Definitely have yourself a wonderful night.
You do the same, boss.